Hey, what's good everyone? It's LP back with a new video, and today we have the Nikon Zf. Man, I love this camera, but more on that in a second. I also have the SG Image 35mm f 2.2 lens. This is an autofocus lens. This lens is actually for E-mount. However, I do have the Viltrox E-to-Z adapter, and this was about $100, and I've been using it with the SG Image on the Nikon Zf. It's made for a great combo. Let me go ahead and show you what it looks like quickly. So let me go ahead and put the adapter on first, and then I'll just attach the lens. But yeah, I mean, I used this combo to shoot some street photography at Universal City, at the CityWalk and Universal Studios in Hollywood, Los Angeles, California. We'll get into the pictures here in a second, but this is what this setup looks like. It makes for a nice compact setup using the Zf. The Zf is my biggest camera. However, with this lens on, it does make for a manageable kit for walking around shooting street. You know, you can throw it in a decent sized sling and walk around with it. But man, I love this camera. It's built like a tank. I typically use it in aperture priority, and I have the ISO dial set to C. Which brings me to the first topic that I wanted to address with this camera is the auto ISO functionality. I haven't used this camera prior to the firmware 3.0 update. However, the auto ISO works just like it does on any camera. It's pretty straightforward. You know, you just put it in C and you're good to go. Then I also use the front dial to control aperture, unless I'm using a lens that has an aperture dial on it. So for example, here I have the TT Artisan 40mm f2 lens. The aperture ring is really nice. I mean, it's a nice lens all around with metal construction. I will actually do a video on this lens with this camera coming up here in the near future. As far as the autofocus was fast and reliable. I would say it's on par with my Sony camera. It's definitely way better than my Fuji, for sure. Speaking of my Fuji, my X100VI feels like a toy compared to the Nikon Zf, which is crazy. But anyway, I'll be making a video comparing the Zf to the X100VI and to the Sony a6700. So hopefully that size comparison will help you with your buying decisions. But circling back to the autofocus, I would say that it's just a tick below the Sony a6700 with the AI chip. It was definitely better than my A7C and my a6400. The next thing I wanted to touch on was the whole thing with the grip. I see a lot of reviewers and people that have this camera that complain about the ergonomics. Honestly, I think it's fine. It feels great to me. I don't have the largest hands, I don't have the smallest hands, but still, even when I put on a longer lens on this camera, like this is the Tamron 28-75 f2.8 G2 lens, it's still very comfortable. I am going to shoot a wedding with this lens here in a couple days. I will also make a video about that, but overall the ergonomics, the grip is just fine. The camera isn't that heavy in my opinion, so I think all of that is overblown. But overall, I love this camera. This camera really resonates with me. It definitely makes for a fun shooting experience. It is a little bit heavy, but it's not that heavy. This is a nice solid camera and it's quality for sure. Going back to the SG Image lens, I had originally bought it for Sony E-mount for my A7C, but I sold that and picked up this Nikon, which is why I bought the Viltrox adapter. But this lens is great, the pictures look great, autofocus is great. Now, as for the pictures themselves, I ended up editing those with Lightroom and Enhancer. So hopefully you all like the pictures. Let me know what you think in the comments. And until next time, peace.